Joe. Welcome back. This is the ultimate love letter. Thank you for joining the conversation. Welcome to our season finale. I cannot believe it has been a year. I want to just take a moment here just to thank you for being here week over week. Thank you for everyone who shared, who reviewed, who commented, who DM'd me, who sent emails, who reached out with questions. I am tremendously humbled from the bottom of my heart. I could not have done this without you. I've always said, we are the mastermind. It's you, it's me, and it's God. And I thank you so much for being a part of it. As we wrap up season 1, I am like, look at God. We organically are wrapping on Convo 111. And I said, God, there is no coincidences. 111 meaning new beginnings. And as we wrap up this season, I want to just share with you the beauty that is to come in season 2. With that being said, I just want to leave you as we embrace this beautiful, brief hiatus. I want to make sure I'm leaving you with a message that perhaps sustains you, that stays with you while we take this pause, and that you just embrace the adventure going forward until we meet again. Life storms is what I want to leave you with today. And again, it's beautiful and it's beautiful alignment because tonight in LA, it is storming. And I had gotten that message that this should be our final convo this season just this morning. And it came at a point where I was just filled with tremendous gratitude for life's storms. I remember not too long ago, I was speaking with a friend and I was on cloud 9. You know, there was no storms in sight. Life was bright and sunny. And I was at that point the closest I had been to God ever. Now, speed ahead, almost 7, 8, 9 months later, I am deeply far more closer to God as a result of the storms that have come. But I remember the conversation. We were in my car and I was almost tempting. I was telling her, I said, it feels as if God is answering prayers instantly. It feels as if no matter what situation I find myself in, it has been just miraculous to watch how God will get me out of, save me from sticky, tangled situations where I could not see a way out. And so I actually felt like I was tempted in that moment. I told her, I said, I kind of wish that, or I'm prepared for God to throw whatever he has at me just so that I can watch him work. Shortly after that, I found myself in a storm, and I'm still in that storm today. But in the middle of the storm, I am just covered with God's peace, and that is God's promise. God's promises is that he will never leave us, that even though storms will come, and they will come, that he only has the ability to calm the storms, to calm our minds, to saturate our life with peace, and to strengthen us so that we can persevere the storms. So when I was thinking back just last night and I was giving God all the praise for life storms, I was thanking him because in the middle of the storms, I now know why he brings them. Just like when storms come on earth, we understand they're coming to serve the environment. They're coming to regulate our temperature on earth. They're coming to ensure there's no droughts. They're coming to make sure that the landscape is replenished and things grow and thrive. So even in the middle of what looks like a chaotic uproaring of a storm, we understand that storms are needed to make sure that everything in nature thrives. Can we look at the storms that come in our life the same way? The storms that God allows to touch our lives are the very storms that are needed to prepare us for all that we are praying for. A life, if there was a life lived without storms, are the ones that go through storms and just disobey God in the middle of it, do not trust, do nothing but complain, those that react rather than respond to life's storms. They're having a hard go. They're not growing through the storms. They're not allowing God to have their way in their life. They're not learning anything from the storms. They're not, as I said, growing from the storms. If you are asking for more money, a bigger home, a bigger business, more clients, a better job, children, a marriage, a deep, faithful walk with God, that's going to take growth. It's going to take maturity. It's going to take a heightened sense of faith. The only way to strengthen our faith, the only way to expand us, to give us that experience, is to allow storms to come into our life, to shape us, to expand us, to allow us to overcome with God's help, so that we can look back and see for ourselves what we were able to endure, to see for ourselves that we persevered, to see for ourselves the hurdles that we jumped over with God's help, to also know that it's only God that got us through. Yes, we get through the storms, but it's with God's strength. It's with our faith in God that we're able to go through the storms with leaps and bounds, that we're able to grow our roots even deeper. God is essentially creating in you the individual that you have always meant to become. So when we find ourselves in the middle of life's storms, can we keep our eyes on God? Can we relax knowing and thank God for the storms, knowing that God, you are up to something. God, you must feel I am ready for the next level. God, you must feel that I'm ready for a bigger business. God, you must feel that I'm ready for my life partner, because here comes this training session to strengthen me, to prepare me for all the goodness that you have just around the bend. I was reading the story of Lazarus this morning, and this is another beautiful non-coincidence that I read this story today in preparation for this combo. Lazarus in the Bible was someone that Jesus loved dearly. And as he was approached and he was told that the one he loved was sick and dying and needed his help in another town, Jesus continued to heal those that were around him for the next few days, essentially not ignoring that Lazarus needed. Instead, he was setting up for a miracle. By the time Jesus was ready to go on to see Lazarus, he knew it. Lazarus had died. He had been dead several days at that point. But as he approached his grave, he knew he was allowing the storm of Lazarus' death to come and those to grieve him, because he wanted to show, his disciples, the sisters of Lazarus, and anyone who was a witness, a miracle. And the miracle was that Jesus would rise Lazarus from the dead. And so he did. And so God allowed that storm to come to pass just to prepare, just to strengthen the belief, the faith of everyone who would see it, and for thousands of years later, for all eternity later, we will forever talk about this story, this miracle. The same miracles that God did back then are the same miracles that God is doing today when we allow him. When storms come, the first thing God says is, thank me for them. Thanking God for them, even though may seem unnatural, it really switches our perspective to the endless possibilities, the gifts, the blessings that are buried within the storm. Once we thank God for the trials that come, we are essentially saying, God, I have my faith in you. God, I have faith that you are up to something, that you are preparing me for something, that you are giving me something grand. Because here comes a storm, just ahead will be the miracle. One thing that is certain in life is those storms going to come, y'all. They're not coming to shake us up. They're not coming to paralyze us. They are not coming to remove our faith. They're not coming so that we need to work harder. They're simply coming to expand us. They're coming to prepare us for the next level. They are coming to make sure we are trained and ready for all the big dreams that God has placed on your heart, those dreams that you want to see come to fruition. You're going to need a strong character to be able to maintain, to manage those dreams. And so the only way to do that is to grow through the storms, to grow your faith, to grow your belief. When I think back now, just in the last 2 years, how I have deeply have had to rely on God. Just for the last year, I'll say, deeply rely on God and not on my own strength, not on the strength of my clients or my worldly resources, but really just the strength of God. I'm in this long storm and I have to rely on you. I thank God, because I think about, my goodness, the testimonies that are coming out of this moment of trials, the testimonies that I'm going to be able to tell my grandkids and my great grandkids about how you can absolutely 100% trust God. I am living proof. I wouldn't even have that story unless God took me through it, and he is still taking me through it. But I'm getting better and better day by day, month over month, because I'm like, God, I'm watching you really work. I'm watching you work as I'm just simply playing, as I'm simply just living in my passion and loving life and embracing the discomfort of the unknown and living in uncertainty. And here you come with a miracle month over month, sustaining me, giving me the life that I only read about in fairy tales. Like, I didn't even know you could live a life like this and it would exist. And the life that I'm talking about is a life where it feels like playtime all the time. A life where I feel completely abundant. I can go and do anything I want to do when I want to do it in the moment. I don't have millions in the bank, so how am I able to do that? Well, God is funding this big dream only because I am heavily relying on him to do it. And so the same miracles he did when he raised people from the dead, when he healed the sick, when he cured the blind, the same miracles he does today when we believe he will. When we're not shaken up by the storms. Think about when Jesus walked on water. That was another storm. He had his disciples go before him. Why? Because he knew there was a storm coming. There was a storm that was brewing. And as the disciples went onto the boat and the waves crashed and the water came aboard and it looked terrifying, Jesus was setting them up for a miracle, for him to come to them walking on those very waves. And then what did Peter do? Peter said, "Call to me so that I too can walk on these waves." And so he did. And as he walked on the waves, he walked on water as well with Jesus. It wasn't until he took his eyes off Jesus and looked down, then he began to sink. Well, the same message that applied then applies today. Keep your eyes on God. Don't look down. Look straight to him. The storm looks perilous, I know. But just like Jesus said, don't let it spook you. Do not be afraid. Do not be fooled. The storms are only here because I want to show you a miracle. It's fascinating when you think about it. It's fascinating. If I could see such a miracle as my God walk on water, and I visualize this and I really put myself in that situation and I'm like, wow, what did that really look like? Like, to be able to see him or anyone really walking on water, what did that look like? And then I think, God, if I could see that, yes, bring on the storms because I want to see that miracle before my eyes. Well, that is how God works today. He wants to bring on the storms to strengthen your faith, to show you a miracle. And that will be the recipe forever. It will always be a storm to strengthen your faith, to show you a miracle. Rinse and repeat. A storm to strengthen your faith, to show you a miracle. Don't be fooled. Don't be taken under by the waves. Don't go in despair. Don't go in doubt. Don't feel like you're being tested. No, you're not being tested. You're being set up for greatness. Keep your eyes on the Most High. He is up to something profound, but only if you trust him, but only if you remain faithful, but only if you remain obedient, but only if you can thank him through the storms. I want to say right now, I thank you, God, deeply for the storms. You bring them to prove to me that you're going to answer all these prayers so that you give me something to pray about. If life was just perfect, what would I really be asking for? You know, I was laying in bed last night and I got a little pain in my body. And, you know, at some point it was a little uncomfortable where it kind of kept me up for a bit. And immediately after, several minutes, I just turned my attention. I was like, God, remove that, remove the pain, remove the worry. Not even before I finished that prayer, God is my witness. The pain subsided. And then as the pain subsided, I was almost checking in like, really? Did it really go away? Wait a minute. Did it really go away? God, I really don't feel it. It really went away. And I just teared up. I said, God, you really just gonna answer all these prayers? He will answer instant prayers once we grow our faith to that level, to the level where we are trusting him no matter what's happening. That's when our prayers are answered instantly. I am living proof. He answers my prayers instantly. And even the prayers that have not yet been answered, and I don't even want to say that because I know they're answered already in the spiritual realm, and they are just making their way to the physical realm in perfect timing. They're already answered. So don't fall during life's storms. The Bible tells us that those who walk in the light, which is you and I, will never stumble. Think about that. We will never stumble. So then what are we afraid of? Let it rain. Let it pour. Let it thunder. Bring on the tornadoes. Bring on the weather. It's beautiful. It all serves a purpose. All the storms in nature are here to revere and serve us. All the storms that God allows to come into your life are there to serve you. So as we wrap up this beautiful season 1, I want to leave you with that. Just please remember, when the storm comes, it's time to thank God. It's time to grow your faith, and you will see a miracle on the other side. I thank you for a beautiful season. Next season, we are turning it up a notch. I hope you're ready. Season 2 will begin on Tuesday, March 25th. And during this hiatus, I want to encourage you to reflect, to go inward, to check out some of your favorite convos from season 1, because we are getting a bit deeper in season 2. You thought we've accomplished some things? Oh no, we're just getting started. Thank you so much for joining this finale. I want to pray over your life. I want to ask that God sustains you, that God expands you, that God infuses you with wisdom, with faith, with encouragement during this time. I want to ask that God just press upon your life, that you feel His warmth, that you feel Him almost inform in your life, that He allows you a glimpse to feel His presence deeply on the side of you, deeply above you. Allow Him to show you the way forward. I pray for a deepened, more heightened, more close walk with the Most High. This is my prayer for you and for those you love. Until next time, love yourself and love others. We'll see you in season 2. Bye for now.